You're watching Bear Down Sports, the best Chicago Bears content. Now buckle up and bear down.
Bears Nation, Mason Nation, welcome back and bear down. What a historic draft we've had so far, and it is such a fun experience for me, for you guys to be a part of it. Thank you for tuning in with us after the draft. What a freaking draft. I've never experienced a draft like this in my life. So tonight we're going to discuss it. We're going to have some fun with it, and I'm going to give you guys up to date on where undrafted free agency is. But before we get too far, I'm going to go ahead and bring in, we have some guests to start the show off from the Chicago Sports Podcast. We have Brandon and Brandon. Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys, and tell everybody where they can find you and bear down.
What's up, everybody? This is Brandon Trax Hyatt, and we're at Chicago Sports Podcast. We're there just about 7 days a week. We took this week, we took a couple days off because we had two live events with Jim Robocop Thornton up at Bridges Scoreboard in Griffith, Indiana on Thursday, where we did the live draft up there. And then Friday we had Jim Ozzy Osbourne. So we just had to remember Jim and Brandon. So it worked out really good, man. Didn't matter how many cocktails we kicked back. We remembered everybody's name, you know. So it was a good time, man. We were excited. We had a really fun couple days of podcasts, meeting some new followers out there, meeting some new friends and stuff, and hanging out with Ozzy and his wife, and it was pretty cool.
And I just watched that video from yesterday, so anybody who hasn't seen it, there's a Bears legend on there, literally one of the best top 100 Bears ever, defensive tackle, Ozzy, as he's referring to, was on their show yesterday. Go check out that video. Just go to Chicago Sports Podcast, and you'll find it. Other Brandon, I mean, we're not going to refer to you as other Brandon, but you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, my name is Brandon Duplessis, guys. First off, hello, Bears Nation, and thanks for having me on the show, Adam. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me in the same place as Trex, Chicago Sports Podcast. Like you said, I was there for the live shows Thursday, Friday night. But yeah, good content, guys. If you want to check us out, Chicago Sports Podcast. And yeah, Trex brought me on about, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And yeah, enjoying it, man.
Yeah, I love being a part of the Bears community, something I never imagined I would do. But here we are, and I love interacting. If you guys didn't see today, I was on with the Bears Country Podcast most of today. We were on with Swifty yesterday. We was on with oh man, this is a brain fart for me. We've been going crazy. I've literally probably slept like, I don't know, 8 hours the last 2 nights combined. Oh man, where was I on? I'm gonna feel horrible because I love those guys. Nomad Network. Oh my heavens, man.
Nomad, yeah.
I was on with Nomad. So and we've had some great stuff. If you guys didn't see, I did a recap video of the 3rd and 4th round, or the 4th and 5th round picks. I just took snippets from the Bears Country Podcast. I was floored today. I had some good reactions. So I did a 20-minute video of those snippets. So check that out on my channel, guys. And before we get too much into it, I'm just going to say some names that are out there because there's so many dedicated and faithful fans in the Bears Nation. Atmos, thanks for being here. Cliff Victoria, I saw you earlier today on Bears Country. Good to see you guys. Jay Brinko, Relentless Mikey, always my hero. I'm always going to say it. Dark to Light, Relentless Mikey. Thanks for being here, man. Greg B, Derek Guy. Let's see. Who else is in here? Cliff Victoria, Gray Bush. Jim Helms, always a pleasure. Mikey is here. We got tons. Philip Palmiso. We're coming up on 100 people already, so thanks for being here, guys. Bob Killen. Creighton Wilfong. Love to see you, dude. Squeegee. AC at M. Trapakipa. Fishing 702, my local Vegas guy. If you guys didn't know, I live in Vegas, Brandon and Brandon. Let's see here.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
Yeah.
Before the sleep deprivation.
Kyle, the Bears fan, Chicago Sports Podcast. That's you guys. You're here too. All right. So we are getting ready to be here. If you guys don't see, across the bottom, I've got scrolling on the ticker. There's a lot of undrafted free agents so far. It's already hitting. That's just the first page. Let me get the second banner up because there's so many already. So if you haven't seen that one, I'll bring it back. Here's the second ticker of undrafted free agents. The Bears have been busy. That's what happens when you've got 4 picks and you can focus on some of these guys that are going to be there after the draft. And there were some shockers to me that were there. All right, before I go too far, I want to get you guys involved. Tell me your thoughts so far, because I haven't seen any of your reactions. On the left side is our draftees from the Bears. The right side is our undrafted free agents. Give me some thoughts on your guys's, not just 1 and 9, but also 75, 122, trading back in with a 5th rounder to get 144. Tell me your guys' thoughts on this draft. Are you as psyched as I am?
I'm really excited about this draft. I mean, I could talk this whole show about just the first pick, 1-1, but I mean, for me, that was like the steal of the draft, because like I'm elated. I'm a USC fan. I'm born and bred from California. I got most of my family out there in Vegas and whatnot, like you and I talked, and a little sprinkled over in Texas, all the warm areas, and I'm the outcast out here in Chicago area where it's, cold bearing down. But I love the whole entire draft. I did have one, little like moment where I just didn't know what to do with myself. I was kind of like Pat. I don't know if you saw Pat's reaction when we had that punter, Torrey. It was priceless, man. You got to check that out. It was just like, what in the world is going on here, But
what did he do? I had my own reaction. I was like, I was kind of mad. So
yeah.
What did was you talking Pat McAfee, right?
Oh no, Pat the designer.
Oh, Pat the designer. Yeah, the Windy City Breeze. I've been on there too.
Yep.
What did he do?
He was just kind of like, he had his mouth open. He was just like. It was priceless, dude. The guy's got like this like vivid, facial expressions, and then he's got his, his trademark white glasses, and he was just like,
I was sitting in this exact same seat, and I literally went like this, threw my headphones, and I took a little walk. I had to take a walk.
I have an explanation. If I may. I think either A, sleep deprivation, like for you, kicked in, okay, or he like went and had that Taco Bell and it kicked in right around the fourth, that round, and he got up and went and kind of like somebody else took over, you know what I mean? And just was like Hunter,
I have spent so much time on this draft, on research, on studying, and I actually nailed 1 and 9 and 75. I nailed him, but I had Booker as a possibility at 75. On my big board, he was a 3rd rounder. So when he rolled into the 4th round, I was literally saying, no, we've got to take Cade Stover. You guys know I love Cade Stover. Cade Stover, Booker, or Marshawn Nealand. We have to. And then when it said punter, I was just like, what? I understand. And I understand, because the Bears were 32nd in the league in distance of punts. Like, we were the absolute worst. Trenton Gill is not terrible, but he didn't do a great job. I've said consistently he's a bottom of the 3rd of the league. He's an NFL punter. He's not Tory Taylor. Now we do have, I mean, you don't know until they get to the NFL and they actually play, but we have a legitimate top of the league punter. So there's a reason he was taken in the 4th round. But with the other needs we still had, I was just sitting there like, well, how? We can't do this. We've got other pressing needs, but then they redeemed themselves. They totally redeemed themselves. So.
I'm sure Tory Taylor was just as surprised as all of us when that pick came.
Did you see his interview afterwards?
I didn't know.
So they interviewed him virtually, just like they did with Kiran Amegadjie. And he said he was sitting there talking to his girlfriend, and oh man, I got to remember, I only watched it once. I usually watch things like 7 or 8 times over, but I was watching it as I was getting ready for this, looking for undrafted free agents. And there's a connection to Chicago somehow. Oh, his girlfriend's from Chicago. So he was joking around and he's like, the Bears need a punter. It's in 5 picks. I guess this is where we could go, but he wasn't planning on going to the 4th round either. And he's got another connection to Chicago. Go Google it, guys, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But there's another connection. So he actually wanted to come here. He's played rugby. He's from Australia. He's got the whole background there. He can punt with both feet, which he won't in the NFL. He said he's never done that in college. He just can because of the rugby background. But he said that's the first place he joked. And then when it actually happened, when he got the call, he said and just like every other pick we had, he was so humble. And I think there's a theme here with Ryan Poles. These guys are mature, they're responsible, and they're humble. And he was the same way. He was just like, I'm ready to get to work. I made the commitment to be to try to go to the NFL, and they even asked him about when he was being considered punter of the year, and I don't remember what the award is called off the top of my head. And he was very humble, and he just said, I don't want to talk about myself, but it's an honor just to be nominated. So it seems like another just top-notch pick.
Well, we know he got a lot of practice at Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of practice.
Did you see the tweet or what he said about Caleb Williams? So Caleb Williams apparently texted him right after he got drafted and said, you're not going to be punting much here.
No.
But then it was clearly cheeky by Caleb, because right after that, Caleb sent out on his Twitter a retweet of him being a Chicago Bear. And just like everybody else, Caleb welcomed him to the Bears. So very, very cool to see.
Yeah, another testament to Caleb's character.
Yeah. And guys, so I grew up in southern Utah. I don't know if you know that, Brandon. And USC has done some things wrong towards BYU, and that's not the point of this show. And so is UCLA. And so I automatically have a very high disdain for UCLA or for USC. I despise USC. I despise it. But more than that, when we had Justin Fields, I was a huge Justin Fields ad. I loved Justin Fields. I absolutely loved him, his character. And I didn't give Caleb a real fair shot at first because so many fans were ready to kick Justin out the door before he was gone. And that really bothered me. So I kind of took it the way I shouldn't have, and I didn't give Caleb the benefit of the doubt. But I'll tell you guys, watching the Pivot podcast, and I've said this on here, so you guys have all heard it. Watching the Pivot podcast, watching him sit and watch Rome's interview after he was done with his interview, watching him interact with all these players, watching him interact with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and watching him talk about the team and putting the team first. His character, to me, don't judge a book by his cover. Don't judge him by where he came from, USC. This kid is top notch. Even watching him walk to the draft and getting pumped up, just walking to the draft, coming out on the stage and going, woo! Like
the Ric Flair. Yeah.
Man, I love it. So you rooted for USC forever, Brandon, and I don't know who your team is, Brandon Duplessis, but have you guys been on the Caleb bandwagon from day one?
Yeah, well, actually not day one, because I was a little disappointed. I also root for Oklahoma because my great-grandma and great-grandfather are from Oklahoma. That's where we all came from, and then transplanted over to California and then spread out, before I was a 8-year military veteran, and that kind of eventually what brought me here. But when I was watching Spencer Ratliff, he basically just like he had a bad game against Texas, and in comes Caleb, and I'm just like, no, this can't be happening. Who is this guy? And then the rest was history, man. I just basically, at first it was a rough take, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to see your guy. Like Spencer was my guy. Then Caleb showed me why he put my guy on the bench. And from there on forward, it was never look back. I still root for Spencer. I hope he does well. But, Caleb's my guy. And why wouldn't you want the guy that is playing for, your college, the college that you root for, not the college that I played for as an offensive lineman, but the college that you root for, why wouldn't you want him on your Bears team? You know what I mean? So right away, once he got on the radar, I started to get excited. But I still, my job was not now to keep my quarterback, whether I like him or not, clean. It didn't matter, whatever. So I was still all about Fields until he walked out of the room. Then enter Caleb, and the rest is history, man. I'm elated. This is great.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, actually, I have a group text that it's a sports text between my brothers and a few friends, and I have the receipt still. I sent the text on December 21st, 2021 that said, guys, remember the name Caleb Williams. And to that day, man, I've kind of, kept tabs on him. And like Brandon said, I liked Rattler as well. And I think with Derek Carr being on a short leash, Rattler might actually get a chance to play relatively soon, sooner rather than later. But no, I've always loved Caleb. I don't know how many players, through 2 years of their collegiate career were going to be the first overall pick if they had entered the draft. That's why I knew this, he was special. And actually, Adam, I'm an Illinois fan, so the team that I despise the most, the team that I loathe with passion, is Ohio State. So Justin Fields was never my guy, not from day one.
These rivalries become it's so real.
Yeah.
I'm not even in USC's conference because I graduated here at UNLV. In fact, there was a comment here. Boom. Rome is from here. He's from Vegas, from Bishop Gorman. It's huge.
Yep.
It's a national championship high school. I don't know if you guys have heard of it back there, but it's always a competing school. But so I didn't really have a beef with him, and I shouldn't have a beef with, and I don't. I'm enamored with Caleb Williams now. He's still got to prove it to me on the field because I still have quarterback PTSD. I mean, as a Bears fan, we've gone through it over and over and over again, but we've never had this caliber. And what you were saying, Brandon, I do this all the time too. I look at these quarterbacks coming up. I look years ahead. A lot of you guys know I've made a video on Andre Loyava, the Tennessee quarterback, who's in 2 years from now, and that whole class in 2026. But how cool is that you saw someone in 2021, Caleb Williams, and you said, keep an eye on him, and then he comes to your team. That's what makes it fun.
Oh, it's an incredible feeling, man.
That top guy, I mean, we've never had this before. The top guy is our guy. And now if he lives up to it, we've got Peyton Manning. We've got Andrew Luck, and hopefully no Andrew Luck situation. I mean, our line is obviously way better than the Colts were to protect him. But, yeah, we're in a great situation.
Adam, what was funny was as we were getting closer and it started to feel like more of a Caleb-esque vibe, like it was really going to happen, I started to transplant guys like collectively. Brandon will tell you it was like these little moves I was doing because there were still some guys in our ranks as co-hosts that are Justin Fields fans. So I would bring in like Mark Carrier, USC, of course, and then I brought on Curtis Conway, USC, Bears, both Bears. They came on, and I'm like, hey, what about that quarterback that you guys got over there? What's his name? What do you guys think about him? What kind of teammate is he? Stuff like that. So it was fun. I had a little fun with it, a little showmanship,
Very cool. Let me look here. Let's pull this back up. We've got the list here. Tell me, aside from Caleb, because you guys both love Caleb, we all love Caleb now. We're all enamored by Caleb, and Rome has shown that same thing. Out of those last three picks, Kiran, Torrey, Austin, did you expect any of those guys? And which one do you love? Or if you love all three, kind of what order do you love them in, and why do you love the fit for the Bears?
Well, I like the fact that when we all thought they were kind of done in the draft and out of picks, that they traded back in to get Austin Booker. I think the Bears desperately needed an edge. Even if he's not your typical defensive end, he's a little undersized. He's obviously a project. They've got Eric Washington there. He can do some work with them, but there was no way the Bears could go into this season with just Walker and Sweat, because a lot of fans forget this, as well as they played on defense in the final 6-7 weeks of the season after the Sweat trade. The Packers really figured him out. I mean, the final week of the season, the Packers kind of figured, I think that he had 3 pressures in the final game of the season, and it was kind of, the Packers kind of figured out, if we block this one guy who's really changed the dynamic of the Bears defense, if we stop this guy Sweat from getting back here, we kind of make him one-dimensional again. So I was concerned that if the Bears didn't address edge, just even in a minor fashion, they were going to be in trouble. Their defense was going to struggle. I before that pick, I really had them finishing somewhere between 23 to 28 on the rankings this year in sacks. I think that might bolster him a little bit, because if this kid plays well enough, if Booker can add some weight, he plays well enough to at least draw some attention from guys like Dexter and Sweat, the Bears will still have the ability to apply pressure. So I'd say Booker was probably the guy that surprised me the most, but Karan's a great player, man. They need another tackle. Braxton Jones had the neck injury. You need insurance. He'll probably play guard, but if you do need a tackle, you still got Borum. You got him. The punter surprised me, but I'm sure Ryan Poles was thinking, we love this kid. I commend Ryan Poles for that pick. He's going to catch a lot of grief, and he knew he would, but he obviously wanted that guy, and he thought, this is my last pick in the draft. If I want Torrey, I got to take him now, and he did.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that he went after his guys more than anything. Obviously, you could tell. And thanks, Ryan Gordon, for the super sticker, $2 super sticker. Appreciate you guys being here. Every one of you guys, super fans. Appreciate every one of you. I love that he went and got his guys, even though my reaction was, not happy about it. He went and got his guys. He thought that was a lot, and we don't know yet because we haven't seen him talk, and they might not ever reveal that. It would be wonderful to be a fly on the wall in those war rooms. I've always said that. I mean, I would watch hours after hours of videos of their war room if they'd ever release that stuff, but they don't for a reason. But he probably tried to trade back. He probably tried to trade back a little bit to get another pick, and I kind of predicted that's what would happen. That was the only thing I really got wrong because I predicted they would probably make a small trade back just to get some more value, to do something like get a punter, to get a special teams guy, because it was a clear weakness for us with Trenton Gill. But he didn't, and that's probably because nobody was wanting to at that point. Maybe everybody had the same type of PTSD from last year when the Bears fleeced the Panthers. Nobody wanted to be the next victim of the Bears. But we ended up getting our guy. That's clearly who we wanted, and he wasn't willing to sacrifice the fact that, well, this is a fourth-round pick, so you can't take – nope, he went and got him. And so I really respect that out of Ryan Poles this year. He said, I'm getting who I want, and I'm going to get him.
Yeah, I like that, Kiran. I'm really excited because he has the versatility to play guard, and he has the versatility to play tackle. His first 10 games, he started at left guard, and then he moved over to tackle. So that, to me, that's really important, especially with his size and his length. He's got a nice blend of that size, athleticism, and length. So maybe not starting right away. You know, Braxton Jones still takes the lead at left tackle, but he definitely can, and it's going to take a little bit of time to get up there. But I definitely think in time, you know, he can definitely be a starter. Hopefully, Lord willing, at left tackle, that'd be great. But I could definitely see him coming in and playing swing tackle and guard, which is something that they like to do. You know, I mean, that's basically, I think that's what they were looking at when they got that kid that played center and guard from the Bills. You know.
Yeah, Ryan Bates. And he even said that, Ryan Poles said that in the interview last night. He said that he didn't expect Kiran, I keep saying it wrong, Kiran Amegadjie. They didn't expect him to be the starter this year. They asked, and he said no. He will probably be the swing tackle, but he could work his way up to that. And so there's not pressure on him. And I love that because Larry Borum, and I've said it too much on this channel, I'm probably too hard on Larry Borum, but he was the 119th out of 120 graded tackle. He had to come in a lot. He was 411 snaps last year out of necessity with injuries and things happening, but he didn't play well. And I'm kind of done with those days of having to take the late round guys and the undrafted guys and trying to force them to fit, which is kind of funny because we're getting excited tonight about on the bottom ticker and then here the undrafted because it's fun. I mean, we want to see that next breakout guy. We want to see the next Jack Sanborn. We wanted to see the guy that will make an impact on the team. That's fun for us. But he said there's no pressure on him. He's here. He's got high measurables. He's got long arms, and he's got a base. He's got a trunk. Good footwork already. So we're going to bring him in to work with Chris Morgan and see what we can get out of him. So I love that. I'm going to put this one up here. So this is the top undrafted free agent so far, guys. We will get to this because this is the point of the show. Someone said just barely, I didn't catch who it was, sorry, that Ty James went to the Vikings. I haven't seen that yet. I can remove him in a minute. But this is just a tentative list, and it may have updated since we started the show. So this is before the show started, 30 minutes ago. What was on there? The highlight is really that Keith Randolph, defensive tackle from Illinois, who was a high prospect. One of my final 7. The guys I had that I wanted to look for after the draft ended, and many of them have gone to other teams so far. But the biggest ones in defensive line was our biggest need. Leonard Taylor, Keith Randolph, Gabe Hall, Gabe Murphy, Eric Watts, Braden McGregor, and Zion, I don't know how to say his name, the Washington guy that Rocket Man loves, Zion Tupola Fuete. Those are the ones I wanted to watch. I know a couple of them are already gone, but we got one of the ones that I wanted. So I'm very excited to see what Keith Randolph can do when he comes into camp.
Yeah, Keith Randolph played a major role at Illinois. He had a big impact. He had 159 tackles. I think he played in 42 games, 23 of the tackles going for a loss. And what's important is when because we saw Johnny Newton was obviously, a wrecking ball. And when Johnny Newton drew the attention, the guy next to you is supposed to excel. He's supposed to, play better. And that's what Randolph did. He's obviously not as impactful as Newton is. But when he found himself one-on-one, he got back there. He did his job. And another guy that I really like, man, is I actually joining your show is the first time I saw this. I didn't know the Bears got Ian Wheeler And it's cool to see that they're actually giving a shot to a guy who really specialized in kick returns. I know he's listed at running back. He played a lot of running back, but he's a at Howard. He was a big special teams guy, a really impactful kick returner. And now that the kickoff is relevant again, that's a guy who might actually make the roster. I'm not sure how they feel about Velus Jones, but yeah, those are the two guys that stand out to me. Keith Randolph was. I love Illinois. Like I said, Keith Randolph was a player that I expected to get drafted, even maybe in the 7th round. But the fact that the Bears went out and signed makes me pretty happy.
Yeah, that's cool. You're an Illinois fan, so tell us more about Keith Randolph, because he's the one of all these undrafted free agents, and Ian Wheeler too. That's why I have it listed as running back kick returners, because they actually listed him as kick returner, and they don't always do that. So that's clearly a specialty. But Keith Randolph, you being an Illinois fan, do you know the deal with his injury? How severe that was? I know he came back after just 2 games. He got rolled up on. They worried it was an ACL. It ended up not being an ACL. But this is all from just when I was researching the draft. I don't remember anything else. Can you give us some insight onto, and no pressure if you don't know, because that's a lot to ask out of a late round guy. I think he was projected originally to be a 5th rounder, so I was shocked when he dropped.
Yeah, and I've watched him through the last 2 years. I don't remember the injury making a major impact over his production. I know that he missed a substantial amount of time. I don't think, was it an ACL? I don't think he tore an ACL.
He did not. That's what they worried about when the initial injury happened. That's what they were concerned over. Yeah. And then he did not. He didn't have any tear. It ended up just being a strain.
Yeah.
And then he missed, I think, 2 games. I'm not positive. I'm going off of memory here. He missed 2 games, and then he came back. But his production kind of was a little less, and that's why he didn't quite go, and that might be why he fell out of the draft. But I'm elated with this.
Yeah, what I like about him though is he had 6 pass deflections. I mean, the guy gets his hands up. He fills passing lanes, which, you know, the Bears don't really have somebody like that currently on their roster. And I know Justin Jones is gone, so you're gonna have to see how Pickens and Javon Dexter play. But I like those guys, man, that keep their hands up. They try to fill those passing lanes. I think he's, what is he, 6'5", I believe. He's a big guy. He's not small. He's probably more of a perennial run defender, if anything, if he does succeed in the NFL. I don't know that he'll pressure the quarterback too much, but the Bears could use those guys as well. You know, they hang their hat on being able to stop the run. At least the last year they did. Prior to that, it got pretty ugly. But no, he's just a motor guy, man. I mean, he played a lot of football. He doesn't quit. You know, a lot of these guys, like I was talking to Trax earlier today, guys like Walker. Why I was happy that they drafted a pass edge rushers. I don't think a guy like Walker should be on the field the entire game. You can tell that he kind of runs out of gas. So no, I don't know that he'll make the roster. You know how these guys go, these undrafted free agent signings. They don't always make the roster. It's tough to make a roster. God bless them if they do, but I don't know if Randolph will. But he is a guy who I know works hard, and he's got a good motor.
Yeah, very cool. Do you know if he's local to Illinois? Because that's where he played, but was he local to there? I know he got a top 30. He didn't do a top 30 visit, but he would have had a free top 30 visit. I don't remember if he came in for the pro day or not.
He's from Belleville, Illinois.
Is he? Okay, very cool. Yeah, he's someone I was keeping an eye on, and I was watching constantly to see if he would do a top 30 because they get a free one out of him, but they didn't. A couple of you guys are saying that polls had mentioned that his guy went right before 122. I hadn't heard that yet. This is a crazy day. A lot of stuff comes out. We're not going to have it all in front of us, but if that's true, it very well could have been Trice.
Adam, there's another offensive lineman that I'd like to bring up, and he was a UDFA, Theo Benedict from British Columbia.
Yeah,
and that's where he was really good at the Shrine Bowl last year. He played tackle. He played guard. I like his RAS. It's like 903 or something like that. And he ranked 134 out of 1,377 offensive tackles. That's all the way from 1987 to 2024. So he's a very athletic, good-looking offensive lineman that could play, guard and tackle. So that's somebody. Don't know whether he's just going to be a camp body or he's actually going to challenge somebody in a position or whatnot, but definitely worth something taking a look at. You know what I mean?
Very cool. Very cool. And some of you guys asked in the chat, sorry, we're not getting to the chat as much. We will. It's always nice when we have new names on the show and new guests to be able to chat with. It kind of gets me distracted into that. But this bottom part, a couple of you asked what rookie minicap means. Here in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a rookie minicap before OTAs start. So it's going to get busy. And then we're going to have that lull in the middle of the season from June into July for a couple weeks there for 3 or 4 weeks, I think, where there's no football. Everyone has to go away and take their mandatory vacation. But these guys are not signed to contracts. So Hayden Gillum, the center from Kansas State, is not signed to a contract. Travian Blaylock, safety out of Wisconsin, not signed to a contract. In fact, I was just trying to see if there was any more online that I could find, and I think there was. Offensive lineman Noah Adagi from Weber State is invited to the rookie minicamp, so he's not on here yet. Edge John McCartan from Oregon State is invited to the rookie minicamp, and I can sit here and see if there's more, but it'll take away from the show. But so there might be some more invites that we don't have on there, but this is different than having an actual signed contract. And usually there's a small signing bonus that comes with that contract, $10,000, $5,000, $15,000, something like that, to commit them to come to the team and be on the 90-man. Some of them might not make the roster, but what they're hoping for if they were undrafted is to make the practice squad, prove themselves, get that practice squad contract, eventually prove themselves, make it to the league, and be on the 53-man. That's the ultimate goal. And like you said, Brendan, the fact that they're even here, this is a super competitive industry, obviously, and it's crazy that they even made it this far. So,
Adam, do you add like the trades, that we use draft picks for, that capital? Do you add that in with like the draftees too, or is that just kind of like a side note? Like not really.
Well, no,
I noticed a lot of people have been doing that with like Sweat and some of the Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I've done it on videos. I've talked about it. Obviously, 240 was Sweat, and 4110 was Keenan Allen, and 5144. And that's the funny part, guys. 5144 was from Buffalo. We traded back in with them. And on my live feed for the show, it was funny because I was saying right before that, I was not calling that we were trading back into the draft, but I was saying if we did, it would take next year's equivalent 1 round up. You have to overpay. I was literally saying that right before it happened, that you have to pay a fourth to come into the 5th, a fifth to come into the 6th. You're gonna have to overpay. And then it happened, and I was floored, and I was like, yes, we did it. So, so Austin Booker and Ryan Bates would be for 5144, but that's also for next year's 4th rounder that we traded for that one as well. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, they had a lot. They have a lot of draft. Don't worry, Bears fans. The Bears still got a lot of draft capital next season.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
they had plenty to spare.
8 picks right now, I think, or is it 7?
8.
I think 8 picks, and then if Ian Cunningham gets hired away, then we have 9. So what you were saying about the draft,
in regards to that chat earlier, you said Braylon Trice was taken just before the Bears pick. A guy who I know, I believe that they liked also was Cooper Beebe, who was taken just before Braylon Trice too.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so here's our depth chart right now, as you guys talked about. You talked about the tackle that we got from British Columbia. Matt Pryor and Jay Kirhan are not locks on this team, I don't think. I think the other 7 at this point are. And the guys at the bottom are guys that I see. The red there means that they're really on the line of being cut or practice squad candidates, in my opinion. Now, if they get to camp and they put the work in this offseason and they really killed it and they prove themselves, they'll obviously make the roster. That's what it's all about. That's why you have a 90-man roster and you come into camp. But if Matt Pryor and Jake Kirhan, they haven't proven themselves in the league yet. So if one of these guys come in, they could definitely compete there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think we're still lacking a defensive interior. I don't think Byron Cowart was meant to be the starter for us. We brought him in to compete, and he's one of those guys that you want to. The same with Jacob Martin and Khalid Kareem. But there's definitely need for depth on this defensive line for sure.
Is Coleman Shelton listed as the starting center over Ryan Bates?
Yeah, so I've addressed that a couple of times on my show here. So there was an article that came out after we traded for Ryan Bates where they said he was the starting center, and someone quoted Ryan Poles, but it wasn't an actual quote. I can't find the quote anywhere. And I've told people, if you find it, send it to me. I want to see it because I haven't seen it. After that, we signed Coleman Shelton. Coleman Shelton to me is clearly the starter, and Ryan Bates is the backup. But I could be completely wrong. But on the Bears depth chart, I checked today because a couple of people were saying that as well. On the depth chart, Coleman Shelton is listed as the starter.
Yeah, he's certainly got a lot more experience at the position. I know that. I think Bates has played primarily guard. He's played a few games at center, but yeah, Shelton played the entire 2023 season for the Rams at center.
And he was the 17th ranked center out of 36 last year. So he's, he's not a scrub. He's middle of the pack, and he's got a lot more experience. What was that?
Better than Lucas Patrick.
Yeah. Both of these guys are better than Lucas Patrick at this point.
Hey, Brandon, what was that alarming stat that you had about that center, though, that we picked up?
He tied for the most pressures allowed with 44.
You're talking about Shelton, or are you talking about Bates?
Coleman Shelton.
Yeah. He didn't have a great year last year. Yeah, there's need to improve.
You're so kind.
Well, there's a lot that goes
improve that position for us. That's the biggest position I'm worried about as well.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into playing center too. I mean, was he reading? Was his pre-snap reads, were those well? His sight has to identify the pressure. So was he doing that well? I don't know. But yeah, when it came to actually blocking, I know he struggled a little bit. But yeah, I was surprised, man, when they took Torrey Taylor. I thought Van Pran was a guy. He wasn't an immediate starter, but a guy who was still on the board, maybe a draft and kind of let sit for a year. I know that's not a common thing with positions outside the quarterback, but there are some guys who are worth investing in the long term. So
yeah, there is a lot going on in the chat, guys. I know a lot of you guys have questions, so I'm going to hit some of these up, and we'll try to go backwards and work into some of them. But this is an active chat, so I appreciate all of you guys being here. We all appreciate it. 323 in the chat room right now. Thanks you for being here. So let's hit some of these. Luke McCaffrey, he was drafted. Where was he drafted? He was drafted early 4th. I don't have all that in front of me. So some of you guys are asking where people were drafted. Brendan Rice was drafted by the Chargers. Man, the Chargers stole the draft, in my opinion. They absolutely got, as far as the wide receiver position, they needed wide receiver bad. They didn't hit it early. They got Ladd McConkey because of his potential injury worry and concerns. And then they got Brendan Rice in the 7th freaking round. So
McCaffrey went to the Commanders.
McCaffrey did?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, Flournoy has been. This is a top 30 visit we had. Ryan Flournoy, he was signed already in an undrafted free agency. In fact, let's pull this up, guys. Let's pull up and show everyone just a basic. This doesn't have all of them, and you'll see on the Bears, there's only I have 14 of them listed. This is just Walter Football. It's a place where I go for the basics, and then I have to scroll through Twitter to be able to find the rest of them. But we'll go through some of the undrafted. If you guys haven't seen this, Walter Football usually does a pretty good job of keeping track of all the undrafted free agents. I'm going to refresh it just in case anything changed since I started this. Let me see how it looks on the main screen.
Go back to that picture. Was that a pork chop? I'm kind of interested in that. That was good looking. Plate of food there.
I don't know where the picture is. I don't control the ads. All right, so let's just see if there's any names here we recognize on any of these. Panthers right off the back. Jalen Coker, I wanted to see where he went. Sam Pickerney, and I was looking at a lot of the wide receivers because I wanted to see where they went. Sam Hartman, the Notre Dame quarterback we brought in, he went to the Commanders. Marcus Rosemy-Jackson, who didn't have a great Senior Bowl. Before the Senior Bowl, I think he would have got drafted, but he had a bad Senior Bowl.
Was
Charles Turner the third
drafted?
You what?
Was Frank Gore drafted?
He was not. Let's see if he's on this list anywhere.
Oh, wow.
I think I actually heard that he went to Buffalo. We'll see if that's on this list, but I'm pretty sure he went to the Bills. I was an undrafted.
I heard that Rice went to the Browns. I need to put that guy in timeout.
Chargers.
Yeah.
Chargers.
Our guys told us the Browns, though. I need to put that guy in
that was
timeout.
reported incorrectly on our chat. Yeah.
Charles Turner the third was a center that I was really interested in us bringing in an undrafted free agency. He ended up going to the Patriots. Let's see here. Chargers. Let's see. Jeremiah John Baptiste is a linebacker I was watching. Let's see. If you see any names you guys recognize, Dylan Johnson, the running back from Washington, that's a big signing for the Titans.
Brad Williams said Gore went to Bills.
There's the Bears. See, there's only 6 or 7 of these here. We'll go through our ticker again. There's a lot more than that. Braden McGregor. Oh, I wanted Braden McGregor so freaking bad. Oh, that's too bad. Leonard Taylor. They stole the lineman. Look at that. They always get the undrafted free agent lineman. Braden McGregor and Leonard Taylor. Those are 2 huge names. Ooh, look at the Vikings again. Ty James. They did. So someone mentioned that in ours, that on our list it was wrong. So Ty James right there. Trey Knox, tight end. I was watching him from South Carolina. Gabriel Murphy, he was on my list, one of the 7 that I read off. Gabe Murphy, defensive end, UCLA, he's stud, solid. Let's see here. Frank Crum, I was watching him, the tackle from Wyoming.
I like him.
Do you guys know if Kenny Logan Jr. was signed post-draft by anybody? I'm reading possibly the Packers.
Freaking Packers.
Yeah, he's a safety out of Kansas, man. That guy hits like a freight train.
Dallin Holker, that was a tight end I was watching. Went to the Saints. So hopefully this is informing some of you guys in the chat too. This is Caden Slovis. That's the one I joked if we get Torrey Taylor, I wanted him. Hayden Hatton. I made a lot of content about him. Good X receiver late in the draft. High point, really solid. Just came from a really small school. Josh Proctor, I really liked him from Ohio State. You wouldn't have liked him because he was Ohio State.
No, I wouldn't have.
We're getting
I
down
gotta
to the
say
end
though,
here.
CJ Stroud kind of changed the rule, man.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. Storm Duck. There was the draft name of the draft.
Storm Duck.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool name, huh? Gabe Hall, right there to the Eagles. Freaking Eagles. Screw you, Eagles.
They had a phenomenal draft, man.
Yeah, they did. They got
Eagles,
some picks.
The Eagles and the Steelers, as good as the Bears did just by Adunze and Williams, the Eagles and Steelers might have stole the show, man.
Julian Hicks. Man, they picked a lot of defensive backs in the draft, the Packers. They're scared of us. Guys, they're scared of us. Both the Packers and the Lions picked a lot of defensive backs. They're very worried about our wide receiver core now.
They should be.
And they should be. Keaton Bills. Who are you asking on the Bills? There's Frank Gore right there. Frank Gore went to the Bills.
They did get him. Okay. Guy's got a motor, man, just like his pops.
Yeah, he does. Bo Braid, I was watching him as a safety. Drake Nugent. I like Drake Nugent as a center as well. Developmental. He wouldn't be starting for sure. I mean, but any of these guys that are undrafted free agents are the same.
The Rams signed Kenny Logan after the draft.
There you go. Curtis Jacobs, he was someone that fell way down in the draft. He could have been drafted in the 4th round. So, anyways, there's
injury. Barring an injury.
I didn't catch why. I didn't see why that happened. So let's see. Let's catch up on the chat here, guys. Sorry. Bayless Jones works at Moo and Oink now. Guys, I like Bayless Jones. I'm a fan of Bayless Jones. I just think he needs another shot. He didn't have any fumbles last year, but he also hasn't proven himself. I want to see them give him a legit chance, give him a huge role in the preseason and see what he can do in some games there.
Well, especially now that the kick return is actually relevant.
Yep. Yeah, especially with the kick return. I mean, that would be – Connor Williams is still available. We've talked about this on the channel. He will still be available into the middle of the season. No one's going to sign him with the injury until the medicals get cleared up, until he's fully healthy and cleared. That is absolutely – but still available. I'm with you, Cliff. I want to follow this. I want to have him be a Bear. If he heals up perfectly and we sign him for a cheap first year and then sign him for 3 or 4 more years at a normal price, let's do it. Let's get one of the best centers in the league. All right, let's see. I've missed a lot here. Jeez. You guys are awesome. 300 in the chat.
That's awesome.
Florney was drafted. Yeah, he was a late round draft. Appreciate that, Creighton Wilfong. If you guys aren't subscribed, please consider doing so. It doesn't cost you anything. Love to have you guys here. We're trying to put out the best content we can. Walter Football, it's a good source. It's not all-inclusive. You got to go to everywhere to see everything you want to get. All right, so what undrafted free agents have signed with the Bears? This isn't all-inclusive, but this is where we are right now before the show started. So there may be some more. Some of the ones we really like. Brandon said he liked Theo Benedict from the offensive tackle from British Columbia. We all like Keith Randolph, defensive tackle from Illinois. Definitely fell in the draft. Maybe his injury, maybe he didn't quite have the production he could have had after his injury. Maybe some teams thought that Jerzon was too responsible for his success. but really a big guy with a good motor. And I'm impressed with Keith Randolph as an undrafted free agent. I hope we really get somewhere with him. Brandon liked Ian Wheeler as a kick returner. Ty James is not with us, so let's ignore that one. It looks like he went to the Vikings, but everything's kind of rumor right now. We'll see what ends up happening.
Interesting to see a quarterback on there too.
That quarterback, actually, Austin Reed, was one of the highest rated ones for undrafted free agents. We started touting him. Oh, who's our quarterback scout? He's famous for it. He found
the older guy. Yeah, who is I forget his name. The old guy they brought in literally as a QB consultant.
We'll get you guys the name, but he found Tyson Bagent. They started grooming Austin Reed at the Senior Bowl. He had him as part of the roster when Hightower was the coach. And Austin Reed was considered by most to be that Tyson Bagent type of guy from this year. And we had to give him a signing bonus. I think it was $25,000, which is high for undrafted free agent signing bonus. And we nailed it. We got him out of Western Kentucky. So there's another guy to keep an eye on.
6'2", 220.
Yeah, he's a stud. And if you watch I watched him at the Senior Bowl. If you watch him, he's got a pure pass. I mean, he's just small school again, just like Tyson Bagent. So it'll be fun to see this quarterback room, see what happens. Right here, Brad Williamson. Austin Reed ain't no punk. Dude is a gamer. Overpay for a punter, underpay for an edge. Balanced out. Couldn't say it any better myself. That was I was going through it, guys. I was going through the emotions when that happened. I was not happy when we drafted Torrey Taylor. And then as we're sitting there and I came to grips with it, you know what? 1-9-75 went as perfectly as it could. We've got Keenan Allen, we got Montez Sweat. We did really good, and we're a lot better than we were last year. We had some good signings. We got Ryan Bates. We're good. And then right as I'm coming to grips with it, all of a sudden, the Bears have traded back into 140. I'm like, yes. I went through all the emotions there. I was on it. So in the chat, if any of you guys know of any other undrafted free agents that we haven't brought up, bring them up with us and let us know. And I'm going to pull up some stuff on some of the guys we have now. We won't keep this too much longer. I appreciate you guys staying on. If you guys need to go at any time, you're welcome to. Once again, let me put this up. You guys check out their podcast, Brandon and Brendan from Chicago Sports Podcast. If you Google YouTube, you'll find it easy. When I came in touch with Brandon on Twitter a couple weeks ago, he told me about Chicago Sports Podcast. I am subscribed there. I've checked out some of their content. I watched their video from yesterday where they had a very special guest on with Ozzy, one of the Bears' top 100 of all time. And so go check it out. At least go check it out. It doesn't hurt to subscribe anything. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us, Al.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, do we still have Feeney on the team, the mullet guy?
No, he's gone. He's a free agent. Didn't work out. Worth the risk.
That was a round 6, right?
Yeah. And then we got a 6th back though because we traded Claypool for a 7th for a 6th swap. So we gave away our 7th and got a 6th.
Gotcha.
I wasn't talking to you guys, GCA. Yes, you guys are allowed to leave at any time. I was talking to the special guest on the show.
Yeah, no. Stay in the chat. Break some records.
Feeney's gone. Yeah, Feeney signed with the Broncos. I didn't remember where, but thanks for that knowledge, Untamed. Feeney signed with the Broncos. Yeah. Polls did make up for Claypool. So let's pull up here. Let's just pull a couple of these up. This is what I do so the undrafted free agents, I don't always know about them, guys. So this is what I do. I go straight to PFF, and I do have the subscription. I know not everybody does, but we'll come here and we'll check it out for a little bit. This is what I look at. And you look at last year, he had a pretty freaking stellar year last year. Look at the total pressures, 32 total pressures, 4 sacks, 3 sacks this year, 4 sacks the year before. You can see less total snaps, at least. He didn't miss too much, but you can see right there between 6 and 10. He missed some games between week 6 and 10. So that's where the injury happened. I just knew about the injury from looking at him earlier in the year. 6'5", 305, 22 years old. And for whatever reason, he slipped a little bit. Don't be too concerned about that tackle percentage. It's just a little up. But 15.1 is not a crazy missed tackle percentage for the middle of the offense or the defensive line. So this is what I do with some of these guys. You guys shout out a name since I'm on a different screen. Give me a name of one of those free agents that we signed, and let's look them up.
Let's look at Ian Wheeler.
Which one?
Ian Wheeler.
Oh yeah, Wheeler.
Right there. Howard, right? Yep, that's the one. So look at him. We got to switch it to. Let's actually look at first kick returns, special teams overall, because he was a specialist there. 519 yards on kickoff returns, 1 touchdown. Yards per attempt, 30.5 on kickoff returns. That's freaking spectacular. Yeah, look at that return grade, 90.4 this year. So he was definitely a return specialist. Let's see, where's the touchdown right there? 88-yard kickoff return against Robert Morris. Special teams in general.
We missed those.
Yeah, we we get to celebrate it here at the Hall of Fame game. We get to live the glory days. Let's see, as a receiver, as a running back, is rushing. So as a running back, the same game against Howard Morris, he had a good rushing game, but nothing crazy, no huge yards there. So not a real big running back. Yards per attempt, had some big rushes there, 20.3. So 4 attempts, 81 yards. Clearly wasn't the lead back, only getting 4 attempts, 11 attempts, 5 attempts, 8 attempts. So it's pretty clear from looking at this guy. We're just looking on a surface level here, guys. Pretty clear this would be the reason that we picked him up. So going to come in and compete for that kick return and see what he can do there. Let's look at another
guy.
one.
Another guy I'm interested because Brendan Bates. I was really hoping the Bears would do something at tight end even after the draft. So
yeah, me too. I like that. Let's look him up.
Brendan Bates,
Kentucky. We got to look at receiving grade. And then you guys know from this channel the things I look at right off the bat is we're going to slide over here a little bit. The contested catches, 50% is great, but it's limited sample, 1 out of 2 contested catches, so that doesn't mean as much. Drop 20%. I don't love that. That's an immediate red flag for me. But you have to remember this is an undrafted free agent. Total yards only 89, so he's clearly not a receiving threat.
a potential guy.
Yeah, they're clearly taking him to see what they can develop out of him. They like the measurables, I'll bet. Yep, 6'5", 251. He's good sized. Wonder what his RAS score is.
$6'5", 255. That's a big boy.
Yeah, he's good sized. Let's see. Seeing if we can find anything here on his RAS score. It says right here RAS score of 7.07, but I don't see the RAS. 33-inch arms, 9 5/8-inch hands, speed and explosion are decent. Agility is relatively poor, which would make sense why he's not a solid receiver. So, anyways, any other people you guys are seeing in the chat here? Sam Hartman went. We went over him a minute ago. He went somewhere else. I don't remember where that was. He signed with. That's the Notre Dame quarterback. Yes, he did sign somewhere else, not with the Bears, guys. So, all right. We're coming up in an hour here. I don't want to keep it much later than an hour. We will keep you guys posted. Give me some more of your guys' thoughts about where we head from here, because to me, we still need a defensive tackle. And we're going to come into June 1st cuts. Carl Lawson's someone I really want to take a flyer on for defensive end. We need a tight end 3. I see us maybe filling that with Mercedes Lewis. I think maybe we just re-sign him with his abilities and how solid he was of a blocker. Big dog. And then what other needs? What are you guys' take on where the team is now after the draft? How do you feel about it? Maybe a center. I really want to focus on Connor Williams. The center, another guard, maybe a defensive end, defensive interior, tight end. What are you guys seeing for the needs of this team now that we had such a successful draft?
I'd like a left tackle, a guard, and an edge. Those are the 3 positions that I'd like to go after. I don't know who's out there in free agent land, but I feel like even though we did our due diligence and got over 11 guys, not counting, transactions at offensive line, and kicked the tires on several offensive line throughout, the stay of polls, and now whoever we picked up in UDFA and then the draft and whatnot. I just feel like we haven't really did our due diligence as far as center and left tackle, almost to the point of neglect. Like I feel like if you look at Ian Cunningham and you look at polls, that they should have like the best offensive line in the history of ever, because them two dudes played offensive line in the NFL at the highest level. So to me, that's where my brain goes. I mean, you've already talked to me for a little bit, Adam, and how many times have I went to the offensive line? So yeah, it's just a weird feel. I don't understand why we're not getting this right. And we just got potentially the best quarterback since what did you say, Brandon? The best quarterback since what, Luck? Did you say Luck?
In terms of draft prospects? Yeah. Luck. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got this guy in the building, and we let Fields go. Like, let's.
Yeah, the problem was when Ryan Poles came in, we were so decimated. He had to tear the roster down. That first year, he was really just scrapping it together. Last year was really the defensive draft. Now this year is the offensive draft. So Kiran should help shore that out quite a bit. And we got really lucky with Braxton Jones, to be honest. I mean, picking him in the 5th round, if we didn't do that, we'd really be in a lot more pain than we are now. But I agree. We need to bring in more iron to sharpen more iron. Kiran is a great start to that, but we need more competition. And to me, that's the same as the center position. We really have got to – we brought 2 guys in, but it's not much better than last year with Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair. We really, really, really need to focus on that, to me. And Connor Williams would be so perfect for that if he can get healthy, but at the same point, we're not quite there. So I don't know if we've neglected left tackle with Kiran this year, but I would like, with what you said, to bring in more competition to continue to sharpen that up. Because Braxton's solid. Kiran, to me, is an amazing prospect, but the more we can bring in to shore that up, I'm with you. How about you,
and
Brandon?
I feel like we're just hitting like the bargain rack, like the clearance rack. We're not really like the Feenies of the world. We're not really getting like the good quality guys where, like you said, Williams, I think, would be a massive upgrade, man. Like you said, he got to get healthy and whatnot. And left tackle, like I played left tackle college, so I probably can tell you right now, the guy does not anchor well. He's got no butt, his legs are very small. And he gets beat on a bull rush, and that you're going to see that all day long in the NFL, along with other techniques and whatnot. But just basic things that he struggles in, I just don't see him being the future. And to protect Caleb from mayhem, when you go out and get that Maserati, when you go out and go get that mansion, the first thing you do is you go get your freaking insurance to protect your mayhem. We're not doing that, man. We're calling 1-800 freaking, cheap insurance or something, man. It just doesn't feel right,
To be a Super Bowl champion team, we definitely need to have the top of the top. Have you looked much into Kiran Amegadjie? Did you look at him? So I did a lot of stuff pre-draft with him, and I had him going in the 40s to 60s. I really saw him as a high-end talent. And when Patrick Paul and him were falling, I said, snag one of those 2 dudes. Then Patrick Paul went. Kiran is a lot like Braxton, except he has longer arms. He has a much more solid base. If you go watch tape on him, his base is solid. He's got really good footwork. I think he was a steal. So it's like Braxton being drafted in the 5th round, being starter worthy, but really, let's be honest, between maybe 15 to 30 starter worthy, not 1 to 15 where you need for Super Bowl quality. Kiran is a 3rd rounder that, to me, he could very easily, by the time where Braxton is in his 3rd year, Kiran could very easily be 5 to 15 starter quality. He's never going to be Joe Alt, in my opinion, but I think he's definitely left tackle starter worthy with his build, with his long arms, with his footwork. I'm very impressed with Kiran. Kiran, I say it wrong all the time. Kiran.
It's okay. Either or.
I really think Kiran was a great pick. He's super intelligent and he is confident. He really believes that just because he came from Yale was why he was down as well. And he believes he's one of the top tackles in the league as well.
And that's why, in full confidence, you're sitting next to a guy who you want to drink beers with and talk football. I don't watch football, Yale football. I've never seen a game of Yale football, so that's why I don't know this dude. I know you were high on him, but I've never watched a game of Yale football. So I believe you when you say he's good talent, and I hope he is. I don't watch Yale, so I'm hoping that this guy pans out. He looks like a big dude for sure. He looks a lot bigger. From base down, he looks a lot bigger than Braxton, which is promising, you know.
Yeah, he's got a solid base, and he can like Squeege is saying here, he can anchor against the rush. If you go watch his tape, you'll like it. In fact, one of the videos with Nomad, when we drafted him on day 2, they pulled up some highlights and showed it live on there. So if you go back and check that one out, there's some live feed where they brought up some highlights of his, and he's really solid. I like him a lot.
Cool, man.
This is a good point by Logan Pilcher. I love the Kiran pick. Smarter this year than drafting center with a rookie quarterback. I agree with that. That's the advantage of Coleman Shelton. We just have to hope. I mean, it's a better hope than Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair that they'll do well, but we have to hope that they'll do well, and it will help if Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis stay healthy. That will help him as a veteran to do his part at center as well. But if we can really get Connor Williams, that would be the topping on top of the cake for me. I love it. So we've go ahead.
I think the Bears drafted Kiran because they regardless of whether or not they have their future and answer at left tackle on Braxton Jones, they drafted a guy who can probably play inside and out. He's really athletic for being as big as he is. And they have issues with Tevin Jenkins. They have issues with Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones, I believe, missed 6 weeks last year with a neck injury. I mean, they haven't really stayed on top of just not having the guys they need on the line. They haven't really stayed healthy there either. So they're drafting it. What it feels like to me is they're drafting insurance. Now, when it comes to what do I think the Bears still need to focus on, I always try to think, what players do you have for the future? We have a very young roster. Which players have you already selected for your future? I do think left tackles, I don't know if that's on the roster between Braxton or Kiran. I'm not sure. I do think they need to focus on a future center, a guy who they're going to have for, the next 5-6 years during this tenure with Caleb Williams. I also think that the opposing edge, aside from, Sweat got the big long-term deal. The opposing edge is something you want to concern yourself with. They did get Austin Booker, but I think he's more of a project guy. And then another player to me that I don't know is going to be your long-term answer, considering especially that he's 30 years old, was Kevin Byard. I think the Bears. I think Eberflus is big on his secondary. He wants answers. He wants long-term answers at all those positions. Kyler Gordon's going to be here for a while. Brisker's going to be here for a while. They just gave Jalen Johnson the deal. It looks like Tyreek Stevenson's going to be, I don't know, as good as any first-round pick taken last year. But Byard is the guy that I wouldn't mind. I know they signed Jonathan Owens, who I think is more of a Richard Hightower guy, maybe somebody who's going to fill in some special teams. But I would not mind seeing the Bears, whether it be, probably most likely in next year's draft. I wouldn't mind seeing another high safety taken in the draft.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that. One of the top, one of the second round picks. That's how I kind of feel about that too. Or even nickel. I love Kyler Gordon, guys. He's on the logo of my logo for the channel. But we definitely need a backup nickel, or we need a new starting nickel, and that's not the focus today. But you mentioned right here what's on the screen, Austin Booker. Now, DeMarcus Walker, as you said earlier, played significantly better with Montez Sweat there. With Montez Sweat not here, he was missing 33% of his tackles. He was atrocious, to be honest. And he's always been in Tennessee. He was the same way. He's a good rotational. He's a good complementary defensive end.
Needs fresh legs, yeah.
So Austin Booker is not the answer. In fact, I'm going to pull this up. Oh, no. I don't have the password right here. This is The Beast. You guys know the Athletic The Beast manual that comes out?
Is the manual by the Athletic?
So it's a very comprehensive. Dang it. I don't have it on me. We're gonna have to do that another time.
We got a new punter. We can back up and punt, boys.
But on the what I was going to show on there on The Beast, it's a 211 page, 200 page document over the draft, over every single prospect in the draft and where they rank them. I mean, it's very comprehensive. What I was going to show you guys on there was with Austin Booker. He was ranked number 9 for all defensive ends. He was ranked as a top 60 prospect, which completely aligned with me, which I hadn't seen this before I made my own. But what they said in there was he is a developmental defensive end. And on the live stream, I was saying that comparing because both Muhammad Kamara and Austin Booker were available. They said, which one would you rather draft? And I said, well, honestly, I'd rather take Austin Booker because he's developmental and we have Montez Sweat here. We have someone that can teach him, put a little bit of weight on and teach him because he's got better measurables. But if you want someone today that's going to come in compete with DeMarcus Walker, then it would be Muhammad Kamara because he's more NFL ready right now, but his ceiling's not as high. So I love the pick of Austin Booker, but he's not a solution for us. We need to focus on this. My first rounder next year, there should be 7 or 8 defensive ends in next year's class off the board in the first round. And I want that to be the guy that replaces DeMarcus Walker next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's where the Bears go in the first round next season for sure is edge.
Landon Jackson with the 32nd overall pick.
And I agree with you, Adam. If I was Austin Booker, I would live in Montez Sweat's pocket for the next 3 months.
Yeah. And he'll get some playing time just because of necessity of where we are. But that's one of my worries is as those first games, as he is getting that playing time. That's why I'd like to bring in with what we have now. We have Montez Sweat. We have DeMarcus Walker who plays well with Montez Sweat. We've got Austin Booker who could be rotational, but I don't want to put too much on him. So I want to get a June 1st cut, or I want to go get a Carl Lawson that you can say, well, we're taking Carl Lawson who could get injured because he's got such an injury history, but he's got first-round talent. But we're really taking him for the time that we need to try to get Austin Booker up to speed and get him adapted to the NFL. Because when Austin Booker comes in, there is going to be some liability there with that unrefined rookie coming into the league.
And then Ngakwe's still a free agent, but he had injury history as well on the Bears. So.
And man, don't get me started on that. If you guys haven't watched my stuff, I am the biggest Ngakwe hater around. Are we bringing back Ngakwe? I don't know. Nobody knows. I really hope not. I'm different than everybody else. I think he's more of a DeMarcus Walker. I don't think he's a primary defensive end. I think he's a complementary defensive end, and I would take Walker over Ngakwe. But I'm hard on Ngakwe. I'm really hard on him. And
he didn't provide much outside of injury last year.
Yeah, he was starting to come on before he got injured, but that was really a credit to Sweat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Leonard Taylor went somewhere else. How did he fall? I don't know. He's someone that I wanted on those. Yeah, this is what I want. Lawson can teach Booker too. He's got the natural talent. He's got some experience. So, guys, we are going to start wrapping it up. 265 of you in the chat. So sorry, we're going to lock it. We're gonna be wrapping it up. We'll be doing some more stuff coming up here soon. It's time. We've been going nonstop. We are going to put some stuff out. If you guys didn't see, I put my live reaction out. We're going to do some more stuff on the undrafted free agents, but I do want to again give you guys credit for being here. So thank you for coming onto the show. If you want to say your finals, your goodbyes, appreciate you guys coming on and being a part of the show.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here, and I'm glad to be as a guest. It was awesome to be a part of this. Prestigious. Like watching Adam's info is just ridiculous. You're one thing that they preached in the military and the Navy when I was over in the Middle East is ADT, attention to detail, dude. And you've got that dialed in, bro. Like it is ridiculous what your skill set is phenomenal, dude. You should be like just slapping people out of the way at a 4-letter network, ESPN, and be like, that's my chair. You know what I mean? So great job, man. You do a great, and it's like for us to be on the platform, we were really excited, man. We were very elated. So thank you, man. Blessings to you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for having us on. And I want to thank everybody who is viewing and in the chat as well. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate
Exciting
you guys
day to be a Bears fan.
Of course. You guys have a great night.
You too.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Let me see if I just don't want to ignore you guys in the chats before we do log it off because that was more interactive with them. But I like to be interactive with you guys too. So let me just look through here, see if there's nothing I'm missing before we do end it. Booker can't hold an edge, though. He can play the run. Don't confuse the two. I actually agree with that knowledge. There is some truth to that, but I really have a lot of hope with Washington working with him. I don't see Booker's flaws being difficult flaws to overcome. He's got the talent, and that's what I love. And that's why you take a flyer on him. He wouldn't be expensive. He'd be $2-3 million with his injury history. And I absolutely would take the flyer on that with Carl or with Booker. I was talking about Lawson. See, it's late. I need to get off of here, guys. Carl Lawson's got a lot of the same things, but Booker would learn from him. And see, it's getting late. Did we hit 7,000? Did we do that? You tell me, Mitch, that we hit 7,000? You for real? Hey, Opa to all of you guys. I had no freaking clue. I honestly, guys, I do this channel because I love it. And because that's why I don't have a Patreon yet. That's why I don't have memberships. That's why I don't have all that stuff. I'm not really too focused on the finances of it. This isn't my full time. I do a 9-to-5 job. And honestly, this makes me exhausted because when my little girls are sleeping, I stay up until 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometimes making the content because I love it. And we'll probably slow down a little bit here after undrafted free agency and after OTAs. We'll get a lot of stuff coming out here still. But I do this because I love it. So all of you guys who have been subscribing, all you guys that are a part of this, I appreciate all of you guys so much. You guys are the best. The Bears fan base is the best fan base, and it's reflective of all of you guys. So the Bears drafted a damned punter. Bob, appreciate that, man. You're badass, dude. You guys are badass. That's the truth. They left Van Pran on the board. I am PO'd. But we did hit 7,000 tonight. That's pretty cool. That is actually really cool. You guys are the bomb. Congrats, Adam. Always great content from you. Thank you. I do appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Let's just look through real quick. I'm going to see if there's any other undrafted free agents that popped up since I last looked. We'll see if we can give you any breaking ones. It will go on through today, through tomorrow. I'll do some more research into these guys. In fact, there's another minicamp invite. Offensive lineman David Sikowski, Stonehill. That's the only new one I see from what we got here. And they'll come out throughout the night. I'll scroll Twitter some more. We'll try to update some stuff. Any of you guys who don't know on Twitter, I'm at Adam H. Mason. That's my Twitter handle. You guys are welcome to come in there. If you want to interact with me and chat with me, and do a direct message, just mention somewhere in my stuff that I haven't followed you back. I'll follow anybody back. I just don't always get around to that. So let's see here. Anything else we're missing? I relate to this completely, Jay. I'm gonna highlight. I didn't like the punter pick at first, but we can't be last in the league in any category. And fixing that with a late round pick, boom! I love it because if you guys didn't know, we were 32nd in the league in our punt distance and punt consistency. So it was rough and it needed to be fixed. I just always mocked that in the 6th, 7th round after a couple trade downs. So that's kind of where I stood on that. I was upset at first because we clearly needed a defensive end or a defensive tackle, but we ended up hitting that with the trade back in, which was awesome. So, all right, guys, we will wrap this up. I want to thank all of you guys for being here. Thanks for being such a part of an awesome fan base. And most importantly, thank you, Ryan Poles, for giving us the draft of a lifetime. We'll never have a draft as amazing as this one, and it's going to be fun to watch. Romo Dunze. Oh, man, I can't. Are you kidding me, Swift? I was wrapping up. Are you kidding me, Swifty? Swift, I was wrapping.
What?
I was wrapping up. I was done. I was getting off.
I fell asleep. I just woke up and I just clicked in to see if we were still on.
It just went from 300 people in here to 180 because I was wrapping up, and I literally just said goodbye to everybody. And I see you pop up in the bottom there, and now I have to chat with you because this is how you and I chat. And
I was sleeping. I mean, look at.
Well,
I put eye drops. My eyes were killing me, so I put some of these Digi eye drops in and laid down to rest my eyes for a second. Next thing I know,
the show goes on. The show goes on.
I got a few minutes. I got to get something to eat, bro.
I thought you were eating a PB&J.
Yeah, I put eye drops in. I laid down and That's what happened. Okay, it's been.
Hey, well, thanks for coming on for a minute, dude. I didn't catch your reactions yet. I doubt you've caught mine yet. It's such a busy day for us, and we go through this, and it's crazy. But, bro, I'm just gonna tell you, when we drafted Tory Taylor, I took the headphones off. I literally threw them, and I had to walk away. And I was on with the Bears Country podcast, and I just had to walk away for a minute and just put my head down and take a few breaths and say, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right.
I don't know why I didn't get the negativity for the pick. I thought.
Well, we had to have a defensive lineman, man. We had to.
I mean, I know, but I thought maybe signing somebody.
Well, we still need to sign somebody.
I think this might kill that. He's a situational guy. I mean, he's not I don't think he's going to come in and start this year, but he's definitely.
Yeah. So, did you catch any of the show just barely before you came on?
Yeah, like 2 minutes.
Okay.
And you were saying bye, and I was like, oh shit.
I shouldn't even come in here. Well, I'm glad you did. Yeah. Did you see the Beast from The Athletic? I was trying to pull that up, but it's password protected, and I don't have my password right here.
Oh yeah, I got it. What do you want to see?
Just what they said about Austin Booker, because I was in love with him. You were in love with him. He's someone I was wanting us to take at 75 if we didn't take Kiran. So just at the bottom of it, they had him as the 9th ranked defensive end. They had him in the 60s or 70s or 80s. And what they said about him at the bottom there, I liked what they said. So I was trying to share that with people.
It's just the summary, you mean?
Yeah, just at the bottom, how he's developmental, how he's.
Yeah, I mean, he's a sub-package player at Kansas. Oh, wait, my mic's way over here. A sub-package player at Kansas. Booker lined up wide offensive tackle, and defensive coordinator Brian Borland's versatile front. After he saw only 23 snaps in 2 seasons in Minnesota, he transferred to Lawrence for the 2023 season and led the teams in sacks, tackles for loss, and forced fumbles, despite coming off the bench, averaging just 40.2 snaps per game. Although he's still figuring out how and when to access his bag of tricks, Booker instinctively uses his rangy frame to create various leverage points and surprise blockers with his forceful hands. He's lean in the lower half, but he plays well versus the run to stack, stay balanced through contact, and track the football. Overall, Booker's lacking in body mass and overall experience, with just 505 career snaps, but he's an ascending player with the ability to maximize his athletic traits and body length, and able to force his athletic traits and body length forced with proper biomechanics. With his tools and career instincts, he projects as a rotational player in year 1 with the potential to be an impact starter.
Yeah. And that didn't really mention the biggest thing I saw on film. So in between day 1 and day 2, I was watching some film on these guys. And the biggest thing I noticed about Booker when I was watching his film again is he can shed guys off. Like when you watch his film, he can get, so tackle's job are to keep them in place and to keep their long arms out there and to keep them, and he can shed them. Like he has moves to get past them and to avoid them and get past them. So I love the pressure he puts on.
100%.
So, all right. So now that we're done, we have all 5. Have you seen the undrafted free agents so far?
Let me see if there's anybody new to this list since I fell asleep. Only Ian Wheeler is the only new one.
And we pulled him up a minute ago with PFF. We'll see if I do that again real quick. We don't need to. I can just tell you. He didn't really do anything as a running back. I mean, he had to have been the backup running back because there's literally no stats. He's a kick returner. He had a return for a touchdown this year. Several games he averaged over 20 yards of return. So he's definitely a kick return specialist, which is why they listed him as running back / kick returner. So he's going to come in to compete for that with the new kickoff rules.
I like it.
Obviously, my favorite one is Keith Randolph. He's one that I was watching before, and I was hoping we pulled up Walter Football a minute ago and looked at some of these other guys like Gabe Hall and Gabe Murphy and Braden McGregor, all guys that I wanted us to get, and we didn't get any of those guys, but we did get Keith Randolph, who's one that I really wanted as well.
Yeah, I saw Leonard Taylor was undrafted too. We didn't get him either, but
yeah, he went somewhere else.
It's okay.
Yeah. So lots to be had out there. I hope we get another tight end. We were looking at this Kentucky tight end. Literally no stats on him. He's a good size tight end. 6'5" and 256 pounds, but no real stats.
No stats at all.
Not really, and his agility wasn't.
Blocker then.
Yeah, his agility wasn't good. So I'm wondering if they're bringing him in as like a younger Mercedes Lewis type of guy that's really just going to execute that blocking role, especially with Shane Waldron's schemes where sometimes he lines them up like fullbacks and out of the backfield and runs them that way. So we'll see what happens there. So out of the left, out of the top 5, obviously we needed quarterback more than anything. So you can't use Caleb because everyone would use Caleb. Who's your favorite pick out of the other 4?
Oh, bro, you know who it is.
It's got to be Rome, right?
It's Rome, man. That guy's he's a special player. I'll have his jersey very soon.
Yeah, me too. The thing I'm noticing about all 5 of them after you watch them, I don't know if you watched Torrey Taylor on his interview, his virtual interview afterwards, but every single one of these 5 guys is the same thing. They're all smart, they're very intelligent, very mature, and very humble. Every single one of them. So I think they're definitely trying to.
I mean, we know what Poles. He loves drafting character guys. It was the same thing with. I mean, you can go back to almost all the picks last year. Trevon Dexter, all the way back to Jaquan Brisker and Darnell Wright and Kyler Gordon. Same thing. They're guys who are high IQ, hard workers, humble, smart, and overall good people who want to be Chicago Bears. And Poles talked about that a little bit last year, that those are the kind of people they want to draft. And sometimes you think like, yeah, but are you always going to be able to get people like that? But you see Caleb and Rome, they both completely fit that. So does Kiran, or I can't talk.
Kiran, you got it. Kiran, that's right.
Amegadjie. He's a guy. Did you see his interview? He said they're not going to touch Caleb. Like
I did.
I was like, oh, okay.
And I love him too because that's what I pulled this up for. I've been following him for actually a week. So a lot of these guys that were prospects, I started following.
I've been following him too. Yeah.
But he's been replying to stuff. He's fun to watch too. Like
I love his old tweets talking about we should cut our entire offensive line and stuff like that. Like, hey, that's a real Bears fan right there. That's how all of us have felt. So.
Yeah, he's a diehard Bears fan too. Mm-hmm. Some of the likes that he had. Let's see if we can find some here. Bear down, congrats.
His lights.
So last summer, Kiran introduced himself to Coach Flus at a golf course and told him he'd be drafting him this year. Yesterday, he got the call. Like, that's so freaking cool.
And Flus reminded him of it on that call.
So I haven't listened to this yet, so let's listen to this.
Kiran.
Hello?
Kiran.
Yeah.
Yo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Are you in Hinsdale right now?
Yes, sir.
You want to be a Chicago Bear?
I'd love to. I'd love to, sir.
Awesome. Well, we're going to put your name in right now, okay?
Watch out. He has so many people there.
All right. I'm going to give you the phone to Coach Eberflus.
All right. Come on. Coach, how you doing?
Hey, that's a year ago. You said you're going to come to the Chicago Bears. You were right, huh?
I told you, Coach. I told you.
You did tell me. Tell your dad he's got a new golf partner.
He's right next to me. I'll tell him.
All right. Tell him I'll see him out there on Sunday.
Sounds good.
All right.
On Sunday.
Man, congratulations, man.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're gonna be great. All right. I'm gonna pass the phone here to Kevin Warren. Okay.
All right.
Kevin Warren always so awkward when he gets on the phone too.
Says the same thing every time.
Hey, Kiran, congratulations.
I appreciate it, sir.
All right, I appreciate you. Looking forward to work with you. Come on in and be ready to go to work.
Yes, sir, I am.
Hey, did you see Eberflus? Wait, look at this. What kind of people are there? I remember this quote. Like, dang, bro, he's got a big family. He crying. He wanted to be a Bear. I love that guy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Did you see Caleb's though when Eberflus was on the phone with him?
I did.
Not a little cringy, right?
Yeah, but Poles, I love the Poles part in the beginning of it with Caleb. He's like, "Who's this? Who's this?" Like, I love that they're already having that relationship.
Those two, their back and forth was genuine and so real. And then Flus gets on the phone and he's like, "I love you. Blah, God bless you. I love you." And Caleb, you see Caleb's face and he's like, "Okay,
you too."
No, he didn't say you too. He just said, "Okay."
Don't be too hard on the Flus, man. Don't be too hard on the Flus.
Flus is one of the someone said it. He's one of those guys who just like overly touchy. He comes up to you, hey, how's it going? How's it going? Like, he's always got nicknames for everybody. Like I love Flus, but man,
they love him in the locker room though. And if you listen to Montez Sweat last year, Montez Sweat just absolutely loves how he's involved with the team and how he's right there, and he's such a defensive minded. Like they love him. But yeah, he is a little bit awkward sometimes. The beard is supposed to remove that though. He's supposed to be Rick Grimes now,
bro. Yeah, he's Flus swag now. But stop telling Caleb you love him on the phone, like
especially in front of everybody. Like
yeah, especially in front of the world, like.
That's
Caleb. Hey, Caleb responded to us signing Austin Reed. He tweeted out, "Whoa, haha, oh yeah."
Austin Booker, you mean?
Yeah, Austin Booker.
Let's go to Caleb.
No. Austin Reed, the quarterback from Western Kentucky.
Oh yeah, the Western. We talked about him a minute ago.
Malachi Corley's QB. QB1 showing love to QB3. Austin Booker versus. I saw that one. Yeah, bro. That was. Oh, that's from the Senior Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. Love this dude. USC.
He retweeted that.
Austin Reed is signing with the Bears.
He retweeted this one too.
Keith Randolph, baby.
Yeah, that's my favorite undrafted free agent so far that we signed.
Austin Jones with the Commanders. Oh, there it was. That one.
This one right here.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. Austin Reed and Caleb trained. Austin Reed trained with Caleb together in the offseason in Florida this year. Okay. Cool. He must have been one of the guys down there doing the biomechanics stuff. Okay.
Very cool. Well, I know we fell in love with him as Hightower was a coach at the Senior Bowl. Like they were talking about him way back then even. But then he kind of went off the radar, but
what? This dude said, no way, bro.
What are you looking at?
To get off Twitter. This guy has pictures of just Johnson cut out of the back of a jersey, and he has like 5 of them. And it says, "Your Justin Fields jerseys deserve a second chance at life." Hashtag JJ1.
Hey, I'm telling you right now, I'm not getting rid of jerseys anymore. I'm going to take this Justin Fields one. I love the orange one. I'm going to find the stitching in the back here for a Johnson, and my mom's a seamstress. I'm going to take that back part off. I'm going to have it unstitched, and I'm going to repurpose it.
Your mom can do that? Hey, if she can do it, I'm sending some jerseys your way.
My mom's the bomb.
I got too many Fields jerseys. All right, I'm going to get some food, man. I just wanted to hop on here for a few. I saw you were still live.
We were wrapping up. 205 people still here. Man. What a historic day right there. You guys are talking about Rippon. Rippon's going to be off the team now. I don't understand why we signed Rippon in the first place.
Camp body, man. I mean,
yeah, he's a camp body. Maybe he can make the practice squad. I doubt it with Reed. It'll be what it is with Rippon. Sorry, dude. There's too many new quarterbacks coming into the league. Find your way out. We love you for 2 minutes in Chicago.
See you, Rippon.
So thanks, Swifty. Thanks for coming on. Historic day, everyone. Thanks for being here. We appreciate all of you guys, all of Bears Nation, all of you fans are the best out there. With that, let's do a bear down. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Bear down. Yeah, baby. Oh man, what